and welcome to the show. We are here today on Forza Horizon 4 with my favourite type of cars. Yes, the muscle cars, and we're going to be doing a showdown between a whole bunch of them to see what is going to be fastest. Now, there are loads of these in Horizon 4, and we've had to pick 12 because that's the size of the lobby. We've gone for the kind of higher end of the muscle car spectrum. We have got a Mustang Boss down here. We have got a little bit of an oddball in the form of the Valiant Chargers, the only 6-cylinder here, but it is quite light. Potentially could be very fast in this one. We have got a Camaro, we have a Challenger, we have got to try and remember all of my... Oh, there's a signpost in the way. We have some Novas, a more modern and older Nova. We have an El Camino, the most powerful, one of the most powerful cars here, because it has, I mean, a lot of these things have similar engines. I mean, we've got my Hemi Cuda and the Challenger, for example, share an engine. We have got a Chevelle, the older of the Chevelles, in here. We have a Buick, we have the big GSX, we have a Mustang Mach-1, and then we have, of course, a Charger to round out the list. So there is an awful lot of horsepower in here. There's going to be quite a lot of body roll when it gets to the corners, but it should be quite good fun finding out what is going to be fastest from this lot. So here we are on the grid for our first race. Now this is set as a showdown game mode, and while we're not using that aspect of it, it's so that the grid is in reverse PI order, and because the game does glitchy weird things with the cars when they're sat on the grid, as you can see. The Charger's definitely at a 90-degree angle to where it should be going. Yeah. We will see how this goes. I didn't expect the 66 Nova to be all the way at the back, but there we go. That does apparently have the highest of the PI. We will launch, and we'll be off and underway. Now, the Valiant Charger is not likely to be as quick in the straights as the rest of us, but it might be slightly better in the corners. Now, the most powerful cars here are going to be putting out, well, my Hemi Cuda is one of them at 425 horsepower. I think the El Camino might have slightly more, but it's very similar levels of power we are talking about here. There's going to be a gap to go up the inside there, although we do wander around a fair bit. Gearing is going to be an important thing, because while yes, we've got a lot of power, these are all 4-speeds, and even then, they tend to top out at about 120-ish, unless anything has got magically longer gear ratios than expected. We have got Longbow is leading the way. As far as anything coming through the pack, the Mach-1 is up into 5th behind us as well, and this is a much more power-focused circuit. The Bamburgh Coast track, and does generally work quite well for high-powered machinery. Handling cars are likely to work elsewhere. I wonder whether the cars further back, I mean, they technically do have higher PI, but everything is very similar. Are they going to be able to overcome? We've actually pulled a really big gap. The four of us at the front have made a really big gap early on in all of this. There's going to be a dive to the inside for the El Camino it's trying, and it's not going to make that one quite stick. Now, the more they fight, the better that is for me, and the better it is for Liam as well, in terms of trying to join in this fun. We're a little bit further back. I got turn 1 slightly wrong, which won't help. Fairly good through here, though, so we'll make up some of that ground. Longbow might well have to start defending soon. Come on, try and get the power down in the Hemi. Because everyone here is going to have an open diff. Everyone is going to be doing one-tyre fires as they pull away from some of these corners. They've really managed to gap Ewan in all of this, which does surprise me. I was expecting Mach-1 to be maybe a little faster, but no, that has just dropped back in this one. It is... I mean, it's a great selection of cars up at the front. You know, let's not forget, wonderful, wonderful selection of vehicles. Not that I'm massively biased, being a huge muscle car fan or anything. We do seem to be quite good on the gears. I was worried we were going to run out of gears, but we don't quite. The El Camino's going for it again, down towards the first corner. We're not quite close enough. I just think my Hemi Cuda is a small bit lighter than the Charger. Oh, Longbow's gone wide. That's going to be trouble for the Nova. That's the one. I believe that's that one. Still going to fight against the Charger. I got turn 1 a little bit too late on the brake, so we get a great run through all of this. Can I do anything down here? Nope. We're going to bump the back of Liam's car. Oh, and then Ollie's got it wrong coming out onto here. Liam's going for run the grass. I'm running a little bit of the grass, not as much as the, oh god, as the Charger. I didn't want to lift through there. Maybe I should have had a small lift in all of this. Gliska's got 3 up into 5th. Ewan is slowly dropping back in all of this. It is a massive, massive fight at the front between us four. Yeah, as soon as I got involved in the fight, we made a little mistake and we got dropped straight out of it again. We can get a good run onto the start-finish straight. It's turn 1. I can get turn, I don't know, 3. I seem to be getting really good runs off of that, but I'm not getting through turn 1 very well at the moment. I think we are possibly getting caught, although that might be because we're all running really close. Oh, he's got clear. I think that El Camino's gone in this. Bamburgh is causing a little bit of a train. Liam's very sideways into turn number 1. Oh, it's turn 4 where I have been quick. If we can keep that up, we might have an opportunity this time around. Although I don't think we're going to be quite close enough. No, Liam gets it well through there. We run a little too wide and clonk the wall. Not close enough to be having a look. It's a procession of cars at the moment. It shows how bloody close they all are, in that we've kind of all got here and not really doing very much. Gliska's sat 3.5 seconds back and is apparently stuck about 3.5 seconds back in this one. Maybe he has caught a small bit. Are we going to have to worry about the Chevy before the end of the race? This is not actually how I thought this was going to go at all. Did not expect to see the El Camino hit the front. I've talked about them being terrible cars in Forza before. Although it's got a little bit wide. Looks like it's still got some speed though going on to the start-finish straight. Gliska is catching now. That is slowly starting to catch us. It may well run out of laps, and that is always the difficult thing. Might not quite have time to get through the field. What can we do on this final lap other than try and be neat and tidy? It may have been a little too conservative through the first corner. I wanted to make sure I didn't get into trouble through there, but as it turned out, that kind of caused us more grief than anything. It's not been a good final lap for me. We've ended up dropping back, so unless there is any big changes in the big mistakes really from the group ahead, we're not going to be able to do it. It's so annoying. We've been in the fight, but we're just a little too far back. Tell you what, the Nova is right here. That has got some serious pace. We're going to have to watch out for that. Jesus, that thing is really, really quick. It's got to the inside. Can we outbrake it? Oh, well. Yeah, it's just got too much speed for me in there. We got a little bit of a bump, but I think it's just too quick anyway, even if we'd held on. Yeah, that thing was very, very quick. We're well clear of the rest of the field, though. That's gone. We lost out. Bad final lap by me. I mean, actual lap speed-wise, we're there or thereabouts, but it's not quite go according to plan. We will cross the line in a 5th place. We know it's very, very close. We know it's very close indeed. I mean, the lap times show it. The Nova is quickest lap time-wise, only by 1/10 of a second, though, in all of that. There does seem to be was 2 groups. The top 6, and then 7th and back, is a sort of a second almost jump between the lap times of that second group. Okay, didn't quite go to plan. We'll see how the next race does. So, we head for our next race at a very different kind of circuit. This is the Edinburgh Station circuit. It is a much more technical, much nastier handling track, basically, for these muscle cars, without being insanely narrow like the Ambleside circuit, where you struggle to fit two muscle cars wide. This is a little bit more a sensible circuit, but it is, very handling based for a lot of it. We may well see some different results in this one. Hoping we can get a good run in the Hemi Cuda. That gap is going to not stay there for very long, sadly. Got to look out for Gliska with a Nova coming through the field. That is definitely going to be one to watch. Now, the muscle cars will probably batter down the fence all right. Not that I need to worry about it, because it's already been cleared for me. I believe Lado missed a checkpoint in the last race, hence why the Valiant ended up a fair way down. Oh, it's very slidey through here. The El Camino's out very wide. Now, this track might not work so well for the big Chevy. The El Camino's, everything here is heavy. Let's face it. Even the Valiant is probably the lightest, is still a very, very heavy car, or in relative terms. The El Camino is probably the heaviest, I would think. Maybe the Charger is not that much lighter, but yeah, the El Camino is a heavy, heavy boat. There's a lot of wiggling coming off that corner. The El Camino's got so much straight line speed. Look at it go. That is some serious. I did say I think it's the most powerful car here. The Hemi Cuda's not far off being the most powerful. I mean, it's got the same engine as the Charger in this. We are up the inside and we will pass that El Camino. But now we're in the midst of the battle here. Oh, we're not going to have the grip to make that one work. We have got more grip, I think, than Liam, but we're not going to have enough grip to make that one work. And I do fear the Nova is just going to catch us and obliterate all of us. Yeah, the Nova's already up to a 6th place at the moment, so that's the one we've got to watch out for. Liam, I don't know if Liam was quite aware we were alongside there. We get a little nudge. Thankfully, the railing didn't really do much. There goes the Valiant. The Valiant's back. He's on the outside. Ladder's going to try and go the long way around. I've got to go early on the brakes because I don't have the grip. Ollie's going to run out of space if you try and put the car there. That's is not a place you particularly want to be. I think it might be a little... I'm going to guess there may have been a desync and they didn't realise I was fully alongside. Normally we'd be given more space. So it's the thing Forza does, it doesn't always show you where another player's car is very well. Dangerman's up to a position 4th with that challenge. There's a huge scrap going on behind us, as there is going on in front of us, actually. Longbow is struggling a little bit up there. That Nova has not quite got the pace of the Hemis, really. Come on. Get through here. Now, I do have the added advantage of they are clearing the track for me, so we get to utilise a little bit more of the track because it is being cleared basically by the cars ahead. That was brave going for the jump across the curb there. I've got to do something though. We've lost time in that big battle. We have lost a bunch of time to this too, so I'm trying to do anything I can think of to bring myself, claw my way back into that top 2 fight. Liam tried to get to the inside, it didn't work. We're just not quite matching them for pace at the moment. I think in the really twisty stuff we may be a little bit better, but it's not quite enough, although that fight is going to very quickly draw me. It might only need a couple of corners of fighting like that and I'll be back in. Here comes Gliska with the Nova. The El Camino's battling with the Challenger. What a wonderful race to commentate on this one is. It's going to be, there's a lot of smoke. I think there's a little bit of Forza lag going on. I don't think you'd be able to carry sort of speed if you were smoking the tyres that much. But there is a lot of smoke billowing off everything through these corners. Thank you for clearing the way for me a little bit. Where is that Nova? Don't tell me we're going to end up losing out to it on the last lap. I think we are, you know. We're going to be sneaky and take that line. Gliska didn't fancy it. We are catching. I think that's more to do with the fight than anything. Liam has a huge dive at the bottom of the course, but can they get the car stopped and turned? They do. The Charger, there we go. There's very similar names, Challenger and Charger. The Dodge is to the front of the pack. Can we get a Hemi 1-2 if I can... It's the Hemis versus the Novas at the moment. Can we do anything about getting past Longbow in all of this? I don't know. Someone threw a bin at me. Trying to get to the inside. There was a little bit of leaning. Just a small bit of leaning may have occurred on the back of Longbow's car there. Very even down the straight. We're going to try to the inside at the final corner. Try and stop there from being a cutback. No, because Gliska's going to get both of us. It's a different Nova that goes to second place. Longbow's lost all the positions at the end. A little bit unlucky. I mean, we kind of had to go for it. My hope was I could pass Longbow before Gliska got me, and Gliska could get stuck fighting Longbow, but that wasn't the way it went at all there. We are going to try that line, and we will hold it. I have the composure in the Cuda to make that one work. Oh dear. Definitely think... I definitely think I've ballsed it now. Yeah, that's gone. Ah, damn it. The first lap I'm on my own through there, and we mess it up. About to say, I definitely think Gliska's Nova is the quickest of this lot. It's just going to run out of laps to do anything about the Charger. The Charger did put on a really good show around here. I'm really annoyed I messed that, although Longbow's just got screwed by street furniture as well, so there might be half a chance as Longbow runs wide heading on to the final straight. We know how evenly matched these two are. Oh, Longbow gets a good run. Longbow's going to do the cover down towards the final corner. Can we do a cutback, or can we try make this work around the outside? Longbow's overshot it a little bit. It's going to be the run to the line between us. There's a paint swapping. It's going to go the way of Longbow, though. Oh, dear. That was a great race. Oh, that was a fantastic race. Yeah, I think it was probably fair. We were not quite as quick as the Nova or the Charger around there. The 66 Nova, we're not quite as quick as those. But did look like we had slight more pace than Longbow, but we just silly error by me. Almost rectified. The Buick was quite quick around there, actually. Gotta say, that was a good lap time. But yeah, so close. Just couldn't quite sneak that podium. Little bit disappointed in myself, but it was a wonderful race nevertheless. Of course, we couldn't be doing a muscle car showdown without some drag racing. So, we have come to the airfield drag strip with our selection of vehicles. Now, we're going to do both a short drag race, which is this one, and a much longer drag race. Of course, here, your top speed isn't going to be much of a problem. This one is all about your acceleration. I'm hoping the Plymouth should be half decent. It is, let's say, it's a little bit heavier. It's got a good chunk of power. It should be fairly well suited to this. We've got the Quick Nova beside us. Quick Nova around a circuit. At least we'll see what it does on the drag strip. Fairly even launch from a lot of cars. Okay, the Nova's the Nova's definitely quick. That's off. That's gone. We're neck and neck with the Charger. The Buick's actually doing really, really well in the distance. It's still very, very close. There goes the El Camino's power's kicked in. I think the Chevelle is on the move in the distance. We're just behind that Charger and the likes. It's, in fact, a very mid-ish finish for the Cuda. So yeah, the 66 Nova takes victory ahead of the GSX. That's a surprise. The El Camino ends up in 4th and is behind the Charger. The 69 Nova actually does beat me. We beat the Chevelle. It's very, very close. As you would expect, the Mustang's lagging back a little bit at the bottom along with the Camaro. Challenger struggled surprising, because the Challenger and the Cuda are fairly similar. There's only a couple of tenths in it, but pretty much the same basic vehicle. Mustang's a little bit down on power. We go to a longer drag strip up next, the Juggernaut. Now this runs down the motorway. It isn't perfectly straight. The cars are going to have to navigate a corner, although these aren't going to be doing the 200 odd miles an hour that some of the hypercars have done. Gearing is going to play a part here. You see, classic muscle cars, well, these were all 4 speeds, I think. I could be right, it might be something at 3 speed. I'm pretty sure by this point everything was 4 speeds. And they are going to run out of gears. Yes, they have 400 odd horsepower, but their gearing was never really designed for, I say for top speed, but for ultimate top speed. So that is going to play in here. It's a mile and a bit drag race, at least that actually. Anyway, the similar sort of scenario off the line. We've actually got the quick side of the grid, that's for sure. The Buick's on the other side. But yeah, we've got the El Camino. The Nova's shot off to an early lead. We're starting to actually pull back on the Charger, because now we're starting to get to the point where cars are hitting the limit. 140 miles an hour is where we are starting to start seeing vehicles buzzing the limiter. The Charger's gone. The Charger's got nothing left to give. It's in the limiter. As with the Nova ahead of me, that's running out. We can see further up the 66 Nova has lost out to, I think the El Camino's gone to the lead. The Buick's actually starting to drop back a little bit now as well, as we're up to 158 miles an hour. Now this is good for the Cuda. The Chevelle has come from a long way back. That has actually got much better top speed in all of this. The Chevelle and the Buick are playing that one. That could have gone disastrously. They both jump the central reservation. They're fine though. They're safe across. The Nova's out of gears. The Nova's got nothing left. A bit sneaky move across there. But it's not going to be enough. It doesn't matter. It's run. It's run out of gears. We're up into that 4th place. We might actually be catching on the Buick. Nothing's catching the El Camino though. We run out of time. Very similar between me and the Buick in that one. But once again, the El Camino doing surprisingly well. That's up at the top there. Just much better top speed in all of this. Chevelle beats the Buick, but a good showing from the Cuda. Again, curious. Better showing from the Cuda than both of the Dodges. They were further back. In fact, the Challenger beats the Charger in this one. The Mustangs and Camaro both did struggle a little bit, but yeah, I was not expecting such a big difference between the Plymouth and the Dodges, but that is the way that it goes with this one. For the final test, we have got the 0 to 100 to 0. Now, this not only tests your acceleration, but is also testing the braking of the cars. Of course, these are not renowned for their braking ability, shall we say, as the Hemi gets up to that 100 miles an hour, it jumps on the brakes, and it will get stopped before the end of the runway. There is a legitimate concern about vehicles going shooting off of the runway. Now, the Chevelle that we have, this is the older of the Chevelles, higher PI than the modern Chevelle, don't know why, but this one was pretty quick on the long drag races. It takes a little while for it to get going. As we hit to 100, it hits the brakes, you see the front of the car dive, it gets stopped, but it's not as soon as the Hemi Cuda. It's not a terrible run from the car. Now, the Charger, we know this thing hits the limiter. It was the major Achilles heel of it on the long drag strip, but we don't have to worry about that here. When the 0 to 100 on the shorter drags, it was pretty fast. It gets on the brakes quite early. Braking is not good in the Charger, but it gets to 100 pretty quickly and does get stopped nicely. We have the 69 Nova heading up next. We've had some pretty good battles with this one. Things have been close with this and my Hemi Cuda for a lot of this. It is on the brakes. It's not going to stop before the Charger, but it is going to get stopped before the Hemi Cuda. That's a slight bit disappointment for me. A good run, though, for the Nova, that is for sure. The Buick has had a little bit of a stall off the line. Yeah, just back it up and have a reset. It is easily done. Well, glad you get it a little bit wrong. Stalker. The GSX actually surprised me, I have to say. It's, I think, the heaviest car here, certainly right up there, but has got surprisingly good acceleration in all of this. It jumps on the brakes and it's a good stopping performance from the big Buick. It will get stopped before the Charger. Now, that's not a result that I was necessarily expecting from that car. The Mustang Boss up next. Yeah, these have struggled a smidge in this field, and while their PI is there, they just don't have that power for the straight line speed stuff. And the Mustang Boss is heading towards, it's still not on the brakes, it's still not on the brakes, it's actually passed, almost passed everybody before it's on the brakes. It's not going to stay on the runway. It comes screeching through a hole. It fell off. It really got stopped. It's not that far off. It's not the worst we've had, but that's, yeah, off the end of the runway. The El Camino has, I have to say, put on a much better show than I expected. While yes, it is very powerful, of course, I wasn't expecting the performance that it has put on here so far. I'm expecting it to do well in all of this one. It's on the brakes nicely. It's very close to that Buick. It's incredibly close. I think the El Camino just takes it, not by very much though. We have a new leader in the form of the El Camino, although that might not be long-lived. The Nova's been incredibly strong, and this is much more in its wheelhouse. It was so quick getting going on the shorter drag races, and theoretically should be good under brakes. Sure enough, it jumps on that brakes. It will not beat the El Camino. Doesn't beat the Buick either. That is impressive. It's impressive from the Buick and the El Camino, actually. We know the Nova is one of the lightest cars in this field. That is a surprise, actually. I was not quite ready for that one. Camaro is up next. Don't get me wrong, I like all of these cars in this field, but the Camaro is another one that has struggled a little bit in this showdown. The more question for the Chevy is, will it stay on the runway? It's still not braked. Okay, it has braked at least a little earlier than the Mustang Boss. It's just stopped. I'd say that's as close to the edge of the runway as you can get, or the drag strip, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's the edge of the tarmac, that much is for sure. Mustang Mach-1, that will go next. Maybe we will keep a Mustang on this piece of tarmac. Maybe it will go off into the distance and join the Boss. We will have to wait and find out where is it going to jump on the brakes. Okay, it will get stopped on the tarmac. Actually, not a bad showing from the Mustang Boss. Not that much further down the road than the Hemi Cuda, to be fair. Okay, well, there's a little more respectable performance from the Ford. It's a little bit of a spread-out field. The Chrysler, the Valiant, is an interesting, quite an oddball in all of this one. Doesn't have crazy power, but is fairly light. On these shorter drag races, it should be okay. Shorter runs, is on the brakes, similar to the Mach-1, actually. Very similar to the Mach-1, just skids a little further down the road there. Yeah, doesn't quite have the crazy power for the higher end acceleration, but is, not terrible under braking and not as bad as a Mustang Boss. Finally, we have got the Challenger that has struggled a little bit in all of this. It's, yeah, kind of a little bit of a surprise that the Challenger has struggled as much as it has, but it is off, it is underway, it's not braking. There we go, now it's on the brakes, it'll come to a halt, it'll beat the Valiant and the Mustang Boss in all of that, and it is pretty close actually to the Hemi Cuda in all of this. It can't beat, in fact it does beat the Hemi Cuda, I think. It's very close in that one, but Okay, a little bit better showing from the Dodges in this round. So we will go for the proper flyby, and it is victory for the El Camino. Wasn't quite expecting that one. We knew it was going to be quite good because of its power. The El Camino beats the Buick with the Nova in third. The Charger, that would sit in fourth. That a very, very close group there. There's a little bit of a gap until we move up towards the next cars. There we find the modern Nova. Not actually quite as close between the Challenger and my Hemi Cuda as it initially looked. The Challenger does beat the Plymouth in this one. Then we find actually a very, very close for contest here between the Chevelle and the Mustang Mach-1, with it going, I think, to the Mach-1. It's going to be very, very close between the pair of them. It's a little difficult to judge with things so far apart, but I believe the Mach-1 would be getting that one. Then we have the Valiant Charger. That's, you know, a respectable performance from that one. As I said, this is a fairly spread out field for a 0 to 100 to 0. We've had a lot closer groupings in the past. The Camaro just kept it on the drag strip, but it is a fair bit further down the way. And then there's the Mustang Boss. It went for a visit into the gravel, but it did at least get stopped somewhere along the line. Not been the best of days for the Mustangs in this particular competition, but there we go. Now, as far as conclusions go in all of this, I have got to say that it's going to go to the Nova. It is not at all what I expected. That 66 Nova was phenomenal. It was incredibly fast around all of the circuits. The fastest car on any of the tracks. Now, because we ran it in reverse PI order, it had the most to overcome, and it was still always getting up towards the front, even with the likes of my Hemi Cuda, the likes of the El Camino, the Charger, all starting at the front, and, you know, having it, what is a nice advantage, really. That Nova chased us all down. It was phenomenally quick. Yes, it runs out of gears, but that was very, very quick, and I was not expecting that. I was really not expecting the 66 Nova to be up at the front. Likewise, the El Camino was a massive surprise. Very close between that Chevy, between the two Chevys, really. The El Camino put on a surprisingly good performance on the twisty circuits, and then as a monster down the straights. That part I expected. Knew the El Camino, one of the most powerful cars here, was going to be fast down the straights, but it was surprisingly good at the circuits as well. Now, my Hemi Cuda, I mean, it was respectable. It wasn't quite the very, very top, but it could put up a good fight with the Charger, with the 69 Nova. It was definitely ahead of a bunch of the field in this one. So, yeah, a respectable performance from said vehicle. The Buick also was another surprise. I thought that would be languishing a fair bit, I'd say, further down the order, but it actually wasn't that bad. You know, had good top end, and again, wasn't terrible in the circuits. Little bit of a shame for the Challenger. I expected more from the Challenger. I'll be honest. I was expecting that to be further up the field in this one. The Mustangs and the Camaro just didn't have the power. They just simply didn't have the pace to fight in this. I think the Valiant missed some checkpoints on these circuits, which didn't help its case either on the events where it is more likely to be strong. But that, again, a similar story. Just won't quite have the ultimate power for some of these. But this has been good fun. This has been very good fun to do. As I said, I'm a huge fan of the classic muscle cars, and as I said, there is a lot of these. This was a selection of 12 picked from the higher end of the PI, basically, that we have to use, if you will. It was good fun. It was interesting to see. I was not expecting these results whatsoever. I didn't quite know what I was expecting, but I definitely wasn't expecting to have the 66 Nova just about thrash everything. But there we go. That is the way it goes. That's what keeps these interesting. That is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.